folks, Jeff here at Back to Country. Things have been crazy busy lately. I know I haven't been getting a lot of videos out, but I've been up against some timelines, and that's just been keeping me way too busy. I've been driving back and forth from San Antonio to Northeast Texas here at the property, hauling loads of stuff from the house so that I can meet the requirements of my final government move. And you know, that's kept me real busy, just driving back and forth. And of course, you know, it takes a whole day to drive up here, and then once I get here, the next day I go to the scales and get everything weighed, and then I come back and I start unloading. Once I get everything unloaded, then depending on what else I got going on, I try to take care of a few things. And then I drive back to San Antonio, which, you know, that's another travel day. And I start loading the trailer again. Now, of course, loading the trailer ain't easy. Each time I load it, it's several thousand pounds. I don't think I've had a load. Yeah, every load's been 4,000 to 6,000 pounds, so it's a lot of stuff that I load, and of course unload as well, all by myself. So you can imagine, if you don't do that all the time, you get a little bit sore, beat up, whatever. And so every time I load or unload, then I kind of got to have a recovery day. And you know, believe it or not, when I make the drive, I feel like I need a recovery day too, just because it's almost 400 miles, and I don't know, driving kind of wears me out as well. But that's been keeping me real busy. Of course, last time I was up here for a couple weeks, and that's because I was waiting on the spray foam contractor to get caught up enough to come spray foam the building. So if you haven't seen the video on that yet, either I A, haven't got it out yet, or B, you just haven't seen it. So check, and if it's not out yet, you know, it's on my list of things to do, whatever. Right now, it's been, the weather's been getting so hot that the bees, I think, are stirring up and getting ahead of schedule. So it's the end of February right now, and I was going to close up this beehive down here on the bottom, and I went to it, and well, there were so many bees that it was literally overflowing, and there were several thousand bees outside of the hive, on the hive. And it wasn't hot enough to say they were, you know, bearding or doing any of that kind of behavior. I just think literally the hive's that full, which tells me they're already preparing to swarm. So I've got to do some work on this hive. So what I did earlier is first I prepared an additional box to go onto the hive, and that box, wow, I'm just pulling up to the hive, and it's busy. So anyway, the box that I prepared, it's a 10 frame deep box that I'm going to add to this box, mainly to give space for the bees to have a place to fit inside, you know, so that I come down here at night to lock it up so that I can move it, and all the bees won't be outside of the hive. So the problem was that I had a bunch of frames that, you know, there's some pests that get into beehives. So you've got small hive beetles and wax moths are two of your main pests that do a lot of damage to a hive if they get out of control. And then you've also got things like varroa mites and different diseases and stuff. But when you have an empty hive, a lot of times the wax moths will get in there and lay their eggs, which will hatch and become larvae, and then they'll just, they spin like web all over the place, just make a mess of it. They eat all the wax, and when you're done, you just have a big mess. So I had some hives that, or some old frames that really they weren't even full of wax, but still somehow wax moths got into them and, you know, just made a mess. So I take those apart, I pull out the foundation, and then I wire brush the whole wooden frame. And then I wire brush the foundation, clean it all up, get it basically looking like new again. I mean, it's not going to be new, but best I can, cleaned up. And then I brush everything down with melted beeswax and recoat it and get it ready to use again, so the bees will be ready and like it. But man, what we've got going on right now is we have a very active hive. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish getting suited up here, get my cover on and my gloves on and everything. Got my smoker going already, and we're going to go over and give these bees a little smoke, and I'll show you how active the hive is. So stick with me and let me show you what's going on. I'm suited up, got my smoker smoking good. We're walking over to the hive, and let me show you how active this hive is. I mean, there are bees flying every which way coming back to the hive. I assume bringing in pollen, maybe some nectar even. I mean, it's 80 degrees today, so the weather is, you know, pretty booming. Now that's a moving screen on the front of that hive. And inside of that last night was packed solid with bees. They've packed it so full that they've literally pushed it away from the hive so they can get in and out. And my intent is to move this hive up to the bee yard, because this tree right here, I usually put a good swarm trap up there, and this is like our best location. I get several swarms a year just on this one tree. Well, that told them, hey, something's up here. Fire, fire. Now this right here is, push it out the front I guess, is a mite board. And I put those on in the winter time. To just insulate the hive better. But man, you can see there's chunks of pollen on that. There's definitely lots of scraps and whatnot under here, just from chewing caps off of enclosures and everything. I'm not seeing anything concerning on it, which that's good, but we'll take care of that. And you can see, man, this hive is booming. I mean, they are active like crazy. So I've wanted to move this hive for like a year now, and always something just keeps getting in the way of me doing that. So I've given them enough smoke to let them know something's up. But you can just see, man, there are lots of bees. They are just working like crazy, coming and going. It's like they want to do a flyby and a negative Ghost Rider. The pattern is full. You can see big old full pollen sacs on them. There's bright yellow pollen, and I see some mild lighter yellow pollen. So this weather has really got them working. All right, so let me get set up here, and I'm gonna go ahead and open this hive up and take a look at it, and then we're gonna add a box to it. Let's see what we got going on. First thing we see is there are a lot of bees. So I mean, the top lid here, the inner cover, is just pumped. There's bees everywhere. Now that's a good thing, but this time of year, like I say, I suspect the queen's building the hive to swarm, and the weather has been so hot that they're ahead of me. Man, beautiful hive. I mean, look at all these bees. Dang. The cover is just covered with bees inside and out. So I just smoked all them off. Now I'm looking down in this hive, and I mean, there's a lot of bees. I see a lot of drone cells, which tells you this time of year queen is making drones. You know, that's how they reproduce. The drone only has one purpose in life, and that's to inseminate a queen so that she can lay fertile eggs. With those fertile eggs, that gives her the ability, of course, to lay worker bees as well as to make a new queen. So looking at this frame here, I see a lot of pollen on this side, and a lot of this other side is a mixed frame, if you look at that. So all that white that you see there, that's capped honey. Below that I see a lot of pollen and some open cells of nectar on the other side. So that is quite a frame. And this one has tons of larvae, some capped honey and pollen. So this is what you call a mixed frame on both sides. It's just beautiful. What I don't see is any queen cells, but we're still on the outside of the hive, so it's not a surprise. I mean, the one thing that's for sure is there are a lot of bees in this hive. Here we got a lot of capped breed. We do have some queen cells down here at the bottom. One of them has royal jelly in it, but I don't see any larvae in it yet. So if you can see these down here, these are queen cells being built. Yep. This one right here, all that white stuff in there, is what's called royal jelly. So we just got rid of those because they're just cells right now. Now all that's gonna do is slow them down. It will not stop them. But if we don't have any queen cells already populated, then we may have a chance to stop this one from swarming. But we'll have to see. Like I say, they seem to be way ahead of me. Lots and lots of brood on this one. Capped brood. This queen that's in here is pumping. She is working it. A lot of pollen. Some honey. I mean, all these frames are amazing because they're basically multi-frames, which means they got a mix of pollen, honey, and brood. And for a hive that's booming like this, that's exactly why, because they are making babies. This hive is growing at a rapid pace. Same thing I see on this hive, or this frame. See one queen cup here, but no queen cells, so that's all good. Man, there's a lot of bees. I mean, that is just beautiful. Lots of brood. Lots and lots of brood. I sure hope I don't inadvertently injure the queen while I'm doing this, because she is a good queen. Now, we didn't do any swarm traps last year because we were too busy with the build. So this hive was a captured swarm. Caught it right here in this big oak tree. And that was from 2 years ago. And I really haven't done anything with this hive. See another queen cup. So the good news is it appears a few queen cups. I only saw one queen cup that was at all active, which they were filling it with royal jelly, which means they were preparing to make a queen in there. Okay, my camera's overheating, so I don't know how long I got, but we made it through the hive. Everything looks great. Some cells, but no developed queens yet. Keep trying to smoke this off to add this other box on top, but the bees come back so fast. There's just so many of them. I can't keep up, so just trying to clear the top off here so I don't kill a bunch of bees when I put this thing on. And they come back just as fast as I can smoke them off. There we go. Try. Oop. So you can't really see it looking at the frame, but they're all covered with wax. I brushed them really good. So that should keep the bees happy, and I went ahead and painted the inside of the box with wax as well. So that really just gives the bees extra wax to work with, so they don't necessarily have to make as much. Might help them a little. It ain't gonna help them that much, but I figure something is something. I try to help them where I can, make it easier on them. Come on, get out of there. Oop. That'll make them a little bit mad. Yeah, gotta smoke this off just a little bit so I can get the lid back on without killing a bunch of bees as well. Okay. And then I want to clean this front up, get them out of the way here, and get this moving screen back in place. There are just so many bees. And now I've made them really angry. Okay, there we go. Hopefully that gets it. Now what I'll do to move this is I'll bring some straps down. I'll strap this. Now the top, I put the opening at the back and then I pulled the top forward so it closes up that opening. And so the only opening you have is down here in the front. And with this moving screen, I can throw the latches on it, and that will, of course, let me get the camera so you can see. Collapse the legs on this tripod here for a second. Technical difficulties. Okay, so if we come down and look at this screen, you got these little latches, so it'll close that opening, and that opening over there's got a latch, and then one at the top, and then it's screened in so the bees can't get out. We got the hive set up, the moving screen's on the front. We'll put some straps on it once we get everything locked in there, and that'll keep the bees in so we can move the hive up to the bee yard. Amazing how many bees there are in this hive. It is packed. So they definitely need that second box. And they'll like all that fresh beeswax I put on everything inside there. So, sorry for disturbing you, bees, but I'm trying to help you out.